Tonight is another episode of Kent Film Club, where guests reflect on the films which have meant the most to them over the years. Joining me in the studio to discuss tonight's episode and all things film, as we do every Thursday, here's Chris Deacy joining me now. It's my favourite part of a Thursday, Chris. What have you been up to? What have you been watching this week?
I've watched so many films from different genres. There's a lot of horror out at the moment.
Halloween's coming up.
Well, it's coming up. There's a new Exorcist film, of course, with the original actress, Ellen Burstyn, in it. That's coming out in just a few weeks' time. But yeah, anything from gangster films to a very odd film, actually, set in Chile, which sort of has this whole relationship between the Chilean former president, Augusto Pinochet, and Margaret Thatcher. It's one of the most surreal movie premises that you've ever seen, which suggests that, you know, all these funny things go on in the world involving vampires and tries to make little political statements out of that. I think it's what film does really well sometimes, taking you somewhere you're not expecting to go. You know, a lot of films that are violent, with, you know, Halloween coming up. Why do we watch these sort of films? Quite
like these conversations we have. I never know it's going to end up, and it always ends up somewhere interesting. And what I want to ask you this week, we talk about what you've been watching, what you like, what are the best hits. What's probably the worst film you've watched, or a film that you've watched and been disappointed or surprised that actually it's not what you thought it would be?
Oh, that is a really good question, because I don't normally walk out of films. I suppose sometimes there may be more war films or something where I'm watching it thinking, gosh, this is taking me all sorts of places. Who's on which side? Do I know the historical background? That happens sometimes. I've seen some very lame rom-coms sometimes, where you think I've seen this all before. But sometimes it is unexpected. Jojo Rabbit is a film that I saw in two different cinemas, one with a very young audience with sort of lots of teenagers, and then in a more art house environment, and I had a completely different take from the film. So I came away thinking, why did this film get all these Oscar nominations? Saw it a second time and thought it was a really moving film. So the environment matters.
And that's something that you do a lot. You analyse what people think watching the film. We haven't got long left at all. What's coming up tonight? Little snippet.
So we've got Paul March Russell, who's a sci-fi editor. Interestingly, none of his films are sci-fi based. I wish I'd asked him about that, but he's choosing some amazing films, including Barbie, which of course came up last week as well, including, I'll give you a clue, two very, very big Hollywood classics, Casablanca and The Apartment. So it's an absolute must-see.
Oh, wow. A lot to be looking into. Thank you very much for joining me, Chris.
Thanks, Abby.
And if you want to hear more from Chris, stick around just a few minutes' time, an episode of Kent Film Club. But that's all from me and the Kent Tonight team. Bye-bye.